Good evening, everyone. All right, welcome. Better crowd than I thought. With offering the live stream version, I figured more people would choose the live stream, but this is great. I'm glad to see everybody. Welcome to 8th grade Curriculum Night. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mr. Chiffo, the very proud principal here at Wantagh Middle School. We're joined tonight by Ms. Quattrochi, our assistant principal, Mr. Kozak, our director of STEM, science and technology and math, and our director of just about everything else, humanities, Ms. Julie Rossley. They're going to be speaking to you about their department's curriculum. Seems like it was just yesterday we were meeting for our incoming 5th to 6th grade orientation. I think we might have done that one virtually. I don't remember. It was a weird time. Oh, that was in person. Good. And we were welcoming your children into Wantagh Middle School, and now here we are talking about their final year at Wantagh Middle School, which is crazy to think. Time just flies. So we have a pretty robust 8th grade program and curriculum that we're very, very proud of, and I can confidently say that the choices that your children have for 8th grade are unlike any other school on Long Island. And I've looked at many curriculums, my own children in another district, and you'll see we have so many choices for your child, and that's really the whole point of 8th grade, is getting them ready for high school where they'll have even more choices, but we're pretty proud of the electives that we have to offer. So tonight's presentation is going to be explaining some of those electives, giving you some information on how to further explore all the electives. We have plenty of links that we're going to be sharing, and your job is going to be to review all the 8th grade electives with your child, and then help your child make selections, and we'll get into that a little bit later in the presentation. So when I started here 5 years ago at the middle school, we kind of revamped some of the electives, and I think we added like 8 or 9 new classes. They don't all run because it's all based on choice and we have to usually get between 15 and 20 to run an elective, but we really thought long and hard about what we wanted 8th grade to look like, and we really wanted to develop the whole child and help them to start to explore their interests. So we were trying to find that balance between finding what they're most interested in, but also increasing the rigor a little bit in our core courses. So you'll hear from Mr. Kozak about our math honors program and our science program that leads into the high school a little bit as well, which again is something that not every middle school offers, but all of your children in 8th grade will be taking a Regents exam in science, whether it's living environment or earth science. So Mr. Kozak will explain that in a little bit. We're going to start off with English, followed by social studies and world languages, and just a quick overview of what that curriculum looks like, and I'm going to bring up Ms. Julie Rossley to explain those.
Thank you. Good evening. In 8th grade in English, students receive instruction based on the department's Reading and Writing Workshop curriculum, which is a continuation of the instruction that students have been receiving since 6th grade. In 8th grade, students read informational and narrative texts and write argumentative, narrative, and informational pieces. Throughout the year, students are taught by an English teacher and are given additional support from a reading teacher with the lessons and materials that are differentiated for our learners. Similar to the experience that your child had in 6th grade and now has in 7th grade, students will continue to read a variety of texts that match their interests as well as their given genre of study. Within each unit of study, instructional differentiation is delivered through individual and small group conferencing that reinforces the whole class instruction. Each of these structures forges meaningful connections between reading and writing and prepares our students for the rigor of high school English. Social studies. Throughout their 8th grade year, our students will learn the second half of the American history sequence, which began in 7th grade. The year's curriculum typically begins with Reconstruction and ends with present day. The department's inquiry-based model follows the New York State Social Studies framework and integrates reading, writing, research, and presentational skills into students' learning. Students are encouraged to expand both their understanding of the content while also strengthening their communication and collaboration skills. Next year marks the completion of students' second half of the 2-year middle school language sequence. As 8th graders, the students will continue to expand their reading, writing, listening, and speaking skills, while also focusing on learning more about the cultural aspects of countries that speak their chosen world languages. Throughout the year, students will expand their vocabularies and conjugation skills within their selected world languages. Additionally, students will spend time collaborating with classmates as they practice their conversational skills. As the year progresses, students will engage in presentational and interpersonal speaking, interpretive listening and reading, and interpersonal and presentational writing. In June, students will sit for the Checkpoint A exam. This exam's results are included on students' high school's transcripts.
So I just want to jump back for 1 second. I just want to also introduce Ms. Carol Ann Winans, who's here. She's our Director of K-12 Curriculum. And Ms. Kelly Jones is our Director of Fine and Performing Arts, also joining us. So in 6th grade, your children experienced the block schedule where they switched off 60-40 for all 4 classes, and same for 7th grade. In 8th grade, it switches to English is 60 minutes daily. Social studies is 40 minutes daily, language is 40 minutes daily, and then math is 40, and science is 60 daily as well. So science and English butt up with each other over a course of 3 periods for 60 minutes. And now to talk about math, followed by science, is Mr. Kozak. Sorry. I just gave him the doctorate.
Almost there. June. Can I keep this here? Oh, sorry. Making all this noise, I apologize. Oh, I just like to see the screen, otherwise I'll mess up. So, good evening. Can you hear me? Okay. All right, thank you. Hi, tonight I'm going to go over the different math and science sequences that we offer here for 8th graders. In terms of mathematics, we have two different pathways. Pathway 1 is Math 8R. This is the progression for students who complete Math 7R. The classes meet for 40 minutes daily, and Mr. Chifo just said. And the classes are fully aligned with New York State's next generation mathematics learning standards, and the class prepares students for Algebra 1, which they'll take in 9th grade. Pathway 2 is our Algebra 1 honors course. This course is the progression for students who complete Math 7H. The course also meets for 40 minutes daily, and this course combines some topics from Math 8 plus the entire Algebra 1 curriculum. Okay. Students in Algebra 1 will sit for the New York State Algebra 1 Regents administered in June. And I'll come back to the honors piece in a minute. We'll get to honors. Okay. In terms of science, Pathway 1 is Living Environment, soon to be referred to as Biology once more. And this course meets daily for 60 minutes and culminates with a Regents exam in June. Pathway 2 is Earth Science. Okay. Out of the 2 offerings, this is the more rigorous Regents level course. Our 8th grade Earth Science course is part of an advanced 2-year sequence. Students in grade 8 Earth Science learn Regents level Earth Science topics, plus additional concepts for the next course in the sequence. In 9th grade, students enter a course named LEAPS. This is a Regents level living environment course combined with a college level advanced placement environmental science course. So students in this 2-year sequence will sit for an Earth Science Regents in June of 8th grade, and in 9th grade they will sit for the AP Environmental Science exam in May, as well as the Living Environment Regents in June. This sequence is designed for students who want to push themselves in science, and our historical student results in LEAPS are outstanding. The teacher, Mrs. Sebastiano, is fantastic. But I do want to emphasize that there is a learning curve to the acclimation of rigor and time required for success in 9th grade in this course. Okay. I'm not taking no questions, right? Okay, because I figured you're going to have questions about that one. And this is a chart of the progression of science. And the reason I put this up here is I just want to emphasize something. Students develop differently, right? And one of our goals is to make sure that our 8th graders are in the best place for success. And whichever path they choose to take in 8th grade, whether it's Earth Science or Living Environment, by the time they get to 10th grade, they actually wind up in the same place. So if a student in 8th grade takes living environment and they move on to earth science in 9th grade, they'll wind up in chemistry in 10th grade, and the same for students in earth science in 9th grade. The difference being that students who enter Electives, they not only challenge themselves and take an AP course, but they also free up an elective later in their course sequence. But it is important to note, especially as students mature, in 10th grade, all our students have the ability to take chemistry, Regents level chemistry or honors level chemistry as well. So, and we also have matter and energy, and that course is somewhat of a bridge course for students who are not ready to take chemistry in 10th grade. But that's a little bit further down the road, but I always like to show 8th grade parents that. So to show that there's not so much of a finality in which way they take their science course in 8th grade. Okay. And in terms of honors, for math, for Algebra H, it's successful completion of Math 7H. And we also go by teacher recommendations there as well. Sometimes there are students who complete 7H, and the teachers will recommend that they might want to take Math 8 in 8th grade. I do want to make a distinction also between Math 7R and Math 7H. Students who are in 7th grade and go into algebra basically skip over 8th grade, right? They go from 7th grade to 9th grade. So Math 7H does is we take the Math 7 curriculum and we take a good portion of the Math 8th grade curriculum and compress it into Math 7H. So Math 7H right now has about 20 topics and subtopics from 8th grade and some Algebra 1 topics compressed into Math 7H. So students who want to go from Math 7R to Algebra 1 sometimes, well, actually, they will find difficulty because they will have missed about 20 topics. So it's just something to keep in mind. And in terms of earth science, we have teacher recommendations. The recommended course average is 95, but there is an appeals process for that as well. So if the student who is not notified that they're going to earth science, they want to appeal it, and we can have a conversation on an individual case-by-case basis. Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Kozak. So Ms. Q in a few minutes is going to review how you'll be notified if your child has qualified for earth science, and like Mr. Kozak said, 95 average in Science 7 would get them in, but there is an appeals process, and we often take students who fell below the 95 threshold, but it's usually, we like to have a conversation with the parent when that happens because we want to make sure that they understand the rigors of that program. And a 95, a student who earns a 95 in Math 7, we feel would be more prepared for the rigor of the earth science as an 8th grader. And as far as Math 7, if you're in 7H, you'll get rolled over, and Ms. Q will talk a little bit about that as well. Okay, so now for the portion of the 8th grade curriculum that we're always so excited about, and that's the electives. And students have many opportunities to take a number of electives that we offer in a number of ways. So as you can see, these are all of the electives that we offer. Obviously, your child's not going to be able to take all of them, and not all of them are going to run. But we do have a fairly robust menu of offerings here. So the ones on the left, those meet for the entire year, and they're alternating day courses, which means either odd days or even days. And they'll usually coincide with their PE class or their music class, which also meets every other day for the full year. And the reason we offer them in different formats is depending on your child's schedule and depending on the direction they choose, they'll be able to take a number from the alternating day classes and then from the semester courses. A semester is 2 quarters, so quarter 1 and 2 every single day. The classes on the right would meet, and then at the end of the second quarter, those end, and potentially they could take another class for the second semester. So just to give you a little overview, and I'm going to direct you in a few minutes on how to Each of these courses we have like a little commercial video for that you can watch when you get home, so you can really get a chance to see what each course is all about. Some of the new courses we're offering this year is, well, a couple of name changes too. Broadway Take the Stage was formerly known as Intro to Drama. So if your student is a part of the school production, this would probably be a great course for them to take. It's run by the director of our show, Ms. Davis. And then a new one, Broadway Tech Behind the Spotlight, is geared towards our stage crew. So it's geared towards like the technical portion of running a Broadway production. They'll learn lighting, they'll learn audio techniques, things like that. So that's an exciting new addition to our course selection. Let's see what else. So You Think You Can Dance is it was formerly known as Intro to Dance, also run by Ms. Davis. And the Sustainable Agriculture is one of our most popular electives, has always been one of our most popular electives, formerly known as Modern Food, which was run by Mr. Muley. It is now being taught by Mr. Muley's wife. Mr. Muley retired, and it's now being run by Mr. Muley's wife, and she changed the name to Sustainable Agriculture, because people always seem to think that Modern Food was a cooking class, and it's certainly not a cooking class. So those are our choices. I think what I want to do, I'll talk about the early bird options, and then I want to show you, I'm going to attempt to show you on the website where to find all this information. And you're also going to be getting an email from me at about 7:30, I think I set it to go out, with a link to this presentation, a link to the live stream if you want to rewatch this wonderful presentation, and it's also going to have links to forms that you have to complete and a list of all the electives with the videos as well. So that'll all be sent to you within the next 45 minutes. Okay, so one of the ways that we altered our program a few years back in order to give students, because when we moved to our block scheduling, that takes up an extra period of academics in our core classes, so we didn't want to lose the ability for students to still take these awesome electives that we have. So we opened up, it used to be called a 0 period, now it's period 1. It's called our early bird class. Some of your children might be taking an early bird currently. We offer a number of early bird classes in 6th and 7th grade, but in 8th grade we offer early bird chorus. We offer early bird phys ed, which is just a traditional physical education class. There is another phys ed option. It's called Fitness for Life. That they still have to take regular physical education, but they can also take Fit for Life and essentially have phys ed every single day. But we offer the traditional physical education as a morning early bird elective as well. And then all students are required to take health in 8th grade. That is a semester class every other day, so it's really a quarter long, but it lasts for 2 quarters because it meets every other day. So some students choose to do that in the morning to free up that period during the day to take another alternating day elective. And then if your child gets reading or math support, we can sometimes offer that in the morning as well. That all depends on staffing and how your child's schedule breaks down. So before I show you this, I'm just going to take a second. I'm getting daring here. Okay. Going to the district website, and if you go to schools and drop down to Wantagh Middle School, you'll see on the first page, the main page, this is a link to the live stream. It'll also link, we're probably going to take this down by tomorrow, but it'll also link you to the recording of this. It takes you right to our YouTube page. And then if you click Incoming 8th grade, that is going to take you to all the links that you're going to need. The Google form is right here. Everyone's going to have to fill that out. After you have a chance to review the electives with your children, you'll have to fill that out, and that'll be due by next week on Monday, and Ms. Q will reiterate that in a little bit. Then we have this link will take you to all of our course descriptions. I'm going to click that in just a second. This is our curriculum guide, which gives you a little bit more information about all of the courses that we offer, including our core courses. And then this will link to the slides presentation that we're showing now. So if you just want to review some of the things that we went over, you can just scroll through it. It's formatted in a PDF. So I just want to take you to the course descriptions real quick, because this is really important. And your children met with the counselors today and had a chance to go over some of these electives, but not in this detail. So this lists all of our courses that we offer as electives. It says clearly how they meet, one semester daily or alternating day. You don't really have to worry about that. That's really more for us to worry about when we get your child's selections. then we have to figure out how to fit everything in. And sometimes they might not be able to get what they choose because it may not fit into their schedule or it may not be run. But this just gives you an idea. And then all of these courses have a link to it. So if you click the link, it will take you to the video for that course. And it's usually, they're all about a minute, minute and a half video, and think of it like a commercial for that course. So it's a really good idea to spend the time reading the description and going through all of the videos that you think your child might be interested in, just so they have a clear understanding of what's being offered. Okay, success. All right, so now I just want to take you through a couple of sample schedules. And there are so many different ways that your child's 8th grade schedule can break down, depending on what they choose, depending on what their needs are. This particular schedule is a student who chose to not do the early bird class. The early bird class runs, our day starts at 8:16 for advisory. Advisory goes from 8:16 to 8:26, and then period 2, which is the first period, the official period of the day, is 8:30. If your child selects early bird, they start at 7:37, and that class goes until 8:15, or actually 8:13, and then they go to advisory from there. So in this particular schedule, the child is not doing an early bird, so they start at advisory at 8:16. This child chose business management and sustainable agriculture, both semester-based classes. So semester 1 in the fall, they'll take business management every day. Semester 2, sustainable agriculture. Then they have phys ed every other day, and on the opposite day for half a year, engineering and design is really technology, Tech 8, and that's a quarter-year course, so it runs for a semester every other day. We don't have a video for that. That's just your traditional Tech 8. We also have elements of art, which is Art 8, and then we have So Delicious, which is Home and Careers 8. So those are quarter-year courses that we sometimes can fit into the schedule, and you'll have an option to rank those by your child's favorite, which ones they would like. And when we can fit them in, we usually fit them opposite PE or the health class. Then this child's in earth science, and you'll see that's the block we were talking about. So it's a 60-minute period of earth science followed by a 60-minute period of English. And in this case, period 4 and half of period 5 is earth science. Halfway through period 5, a bell rings inside their classroom, and they move to English. And then every student gets a full 40-minute lunch, which is actually another change over the past few years. Back in the day, when we offered earth science, we had to do an earth science lab, and students would give up 20 minutes of their lunch. So we were able to move away from that, so they no longer have to give up any part of their lunch. Everybody's going to get a full 40 minutes. And then this child is in algebra. It could be algebra or math 8, and then world language, followed by social studies. Okay, so now this sample is a student who chose early bird as an option. As you see, they're taking PE in the morning, and they chose to do health as an early bird. And you'll see this kind of opened up some more opportunities. The students in band every other day and chose garage band, which is a really awesome course if your child's interested. It's about like audio engineering and things of that nature. So that's an every other day full year course. So they'll have some sort of a music course every day. Then this child also is taking digital art and ceramics. So this is like your arts music minded child. Living environment and ELA, there's your block again. And then the same finish, lunch, math, world language, social studies. They won't necessarily be during these periods. This is just to kind of give you an idea. And then in this particular schedule, this student again chose early bird, PE, and health. Then the student chose engineering and design, which is Tech 8, and elements of art. So they're getting a tech course, an art class, and then they're doing Ultimate Chef, which is also a very popular elective. That's our Home and Careers elective. And this student is either in ICT, so they have their skills period for one period, or they're in resource room, and they get resource room that period. Then again, the block, lunch, math, world language, and social studies. So these are just 3 sample pathways. We really try to tailor it to your child's needs, and our counselors really spend time working with your child to help develop the schedule as best they can so that they get as many of the electives as possible. So I'm going to bring up Ms. Q. She's going to talk about the process and the next steps moving forward.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, I think That's good. So you've heard a lot of information so far, and it's probably a little bit overwhelming. So the next natural question is, what happens next? What do I do from here? So today, as you can see, January 11th, the counselors, you may have heard when your kids came home, unless they came home and you said, what'd you do today? And they said nothing. They may have told you that the counselors made their way into their social studies class, and they went over a lot of the information that you're hearing here tonight. So obviously tonight now is the parent meeting. The next step is, it says here tomorrow, but as Mr. Chiffo mentioned, we're going to be sending it out within the next half hour, 45 minutes. All the information that you need, such as the Google form, which I'm going to show you exactly what that looks like and what you'll have to do to complete that. So that's going to be due next Monday at the end of, the end of the day, Monday, January 15th. And that will, it's a simple form. I'll go over that with you in a second. And that basically allows us to figure out exactly what we were saying a little earlier, which classes will be running, which classes won't be, which will lead us to the week of February 5th, where the counselors will be meeting with each and every child going into 8th grade to go over exactly what they chose, make sure that everything fits into their schedule, because as Mr. Chiffo was explaining, some courses are every other day, some courses are semester blocks, and not everything is going to run as well. So the counselor will meet with your child and make sure that they get something that they like, whether it's their first choice, their second choice. They'll sit with them and go over exactly what will be in their schedule for next year. Okay, so next steps. So as you can see, the next step there is to talk to your child about the course offerings. So Mr. Chiffo showed you exactly where on the website. You'll also get it in the email. It's a very long list of course offerings. Each one has a video. I really highly suggest you take the time to go through each of the videos. I say that because your child might say, you know what, I know I want to take Ultimate Chef and I want to take GarageBand. But then when they sit down and they watch the video, they might say, you know what, that one actually looks pretty cool. I think I might want that, I think I might be interested in taking that. And until they take the time to watch those videos, sometimes they might be surprised by the things that they actually end up signing up for. And also, if one of their top choices happens to not run, Mr. Chiffo mentioned that we need 15 to 20 kids to run an elective. If their top choice doesn't run, you want to make sure that they really took the time to look through what the other courses are that are being offered. So after you do that, that's when I would start taking notes and start thinking about what are your top choices. And that's what you're going to fill out in the Google form, which I'll show you in a moment. And as I mentioned, that's due on Monday evening. And then the Earth Science appeal and the acceptance letter. So Mr. Kozak talked about that a little while ago. The acceptance letters are going to be sent out the week of February 5th. That happens after our quarter 2 grades are entered into the system. And then the appeals open up the week of February 12th. And all that information will also be sent out to you. The other thing also, it's not up here, but was mentioned, the algebra, that is a rollover from the 7H course. That was explained because of all the topics that are added in from 7th and 8th grade. And that's something as well, if you're interested in looking into going into algebra, that's a separate conversation to have with Mr. Kozak. Okay, so the course selection form, this is not actually what it's going to look like on the Google form, but it gives you an idea of exactly what they have to choose from. So like we mentioned, all of the electives are half-year courses. Some of them are offered full year alternating day. Some of them are offered as a semester course every day for half the year. Either way, both ways end up being the same amount of time in each course. So this needs to be entered from your child's Wantagh Google account. You will not be able to access the form from your parent Google account. You have to sign in through your child's account. It'll also only allow you to enter one submission. So if by any chance you make a mistake, they realize after the fact they clicked the wrong thing, they changed their mind, send me an email or send their counselor an email and we'll update that on our end. Okay, so here this is the same list that you looked at before when Mr. Chiffo was going over, the new names and the courses that are offered. You're going to choose your top 4. So there are a lot of options, but we are going to choose your top 4. That then gives us a little bit of wiggle room for things that'll fit in their schedule in the event that a course doesn't run. And these are conversations that the counselors will continue to have with your child as the year goes on and as the schedule is developed. But that's why we want to choose our top 4, just to make sure that we have a number of choices. Okay, now this is the second part of the form. So here what you're going to do, it starts by talking about the wheel courses, which they have fancier names, but it's Tech 8, Art 8, and Fax 8. The only one of these courses that have been spoken about tonight that is mandated is Health 8. That has to be taken. As mentioned before, you can take that as an early bird course. It doesn't have to be during the school day. That's another option. You may not end up taking any of these other wheel courses. It might work out if your child is taking, say, a music course or PE. Sometimes they might only have to actually take one. It'll run against it. But you want to make sure you rank all of them. So you're going to go there, and choice 1 is always going to be Health 8. So then you'll rank from there in order 1, 2, 3, what they're interested in taking. The next part is the music selection. So all students will be rolled over from what they're currently taking. Now, if your child has something else in mind, they have to just have a conversation with their guidance counselor or their music teacher. And then last but not least is our early bird options. So that will start at 7:37. Although it starts before the school day, it still counts as a regular course. Your child's school day just starts a little bit earlier. Attendance is taken the same way that a period 2, 3, 4 course is taken. So those options, as we discussed, are health, phys ed, and there's chorus as well, and the AIS support programs. Busing is available if your child qualifies for a regular school day bus. They are also offered an earlier bus. Keep in mind that this is the high school busing, so they will be on the same bus or a very similar bus nearby, and it would be with the high school students, and it arrives at that time. And I think that is all for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, so I know we threw a lot at you there, and I showed you how to access all of those links, and you're going to get an email just with everything in one easy email for you so you can start reviewing. And I'm going to open up the floor for any questions you might have, and of course, if you don't get to ask your question tonight, if you think of something when you get home or while you're reviewing the courses, if a question comes up, you can always reach out to me or Ms. Q or, of course, your child's guidance counselors. They're all well-versed in the course selection process and the course offerings. So with that said, you are a great audience. Does anybody have any questions? Yes. So it is not mandated. So we roll over the music course that they're in, and you have to really think long and hard about that. Ms. Jones, you might want to comment. You do have to think long and hard about that, because if you drop a music, then I likely can't continue to take it in high school. So that's an important decision that you'd have to make with your child, but they have met their requirement by the end of 7th grade, so it's not mandated. Good question. Anything you want to add to that, Ms. Jones? I just want to repeat for the home audience. I'll recite the question because the home audience can't hear the question. So that question was, is music mandated, obviously? Okay. Yes? We are not offering general music for 8th grade now. But there are some music electives, and on that list it said enlisted under English, so you think you can dance. It's taught by one of our English teachers, but dance is a music-based course as well, as is, I guess, the drama could be considered a music course as well. Yes, yeah. I'm going to defer to Ms. Jones on that one. So the question was, for the wheel courses, do you have to prioritize them even though they might not fit into your schedule? I'm going to turn that to Mrs. Q.
So the reason why I say to prioritize it regardless is because of the way different courses run. So what I mean by that is, so Health 8, say if she takes that as an early bird course, then the wheel courses, you'll prioritize them, but they wouldn't be selected. She'll have that conversation with her guidance counselor. But if a child, say, doesn't want to take that during early bird, then during the school day, that's offered every other day. Say PE runs every other day against it, but that's full year, where the other one is only half year. So you need to fill that gap with something else every other day for half the year. So it's like a puzzle piece. So therefore, it's good. You want to just prioritize it anyway, and then you can have that conversation, or she'll have that conversation with the guidance counselor that, once they know also she's taking it early bird, that's an option on the Google form. We can easily see then, okay, she chose these top 4 electives. She's taking the early bird, the early bird course. She doesn't need anything going every other day. But that would also mean PE would have to be in the morning as well, because PE needs something to go against it every other day. So that's where it's the simple answer to that is prioritize it. And the reason is because of the way the scheduling works. You just want to always have those things set up, but it's a conversation. They can, yep. But now remember, you also have to take PE. So, and PE is an every other day course, so then she's going to need something to run against that during the school day. So that's why just fill out the form, and then we can have that conversation one-on-one, and that's a conversation with a lot of parents over different things, and that's where also choice comes in. So then she might say, or any child might say, you know what, I really do want to take this. That's why I want to take this in the early bird course. And you know what, this is my priority for during the school day. So those are the conversations and that's why the counselors meet with each and every child to discuss exactly what it is that they really want. And then they'll help you figure out a way to do so.
Okay. Yes. So the question was, all the schedules look pretty packed. Where does music fit in? So it depends on the child. So if your child is in chorus, it could fit in opposite PE. Band orchestra could fit in opposite PE. That's usually when that's why we have different offerings for every other day for the full year versus semester based. So when a child has PE during the day, we can butt it up against chorus or band or orchestra. They also have the option to take chorus as a morning group. It's a completely separate group, but it's the same chorus classes they would take during the day. Like Ms. Q was saying, like for example, PE is every other day. Let's say the child is taking that during the school day. They won't be able to take one of the semester-based electives opposite PE, because semester-based runs every single day, where PE is every other day. So they have to take either a music or one of the alternating day electives, or one of the wheel classes, which they could take 2 of those, because those only run for a semester every other day. So it's a bit of a puzzle, and I'm happy that I'm not the assistant principal who has to figure it all out. But it all comes together and if we have issues and we can't fit things into schedules, then counselors will call the kids back and get their priorities, and sometimes have conversations with parents as well. Hope that answered your question. Yeah, so if you look at the schedule, so this child has band, in this day it's period 2, but I don't know that we run at period 2. I forget which period 8th grade runs, but as an example, band every other day, garage band every other day, so they're taking 2 music courses, and then they move their PE and their health into the early bird. Yes, in the back. No. So Monday, we're not going to be here. His question was, what are the wheel classes, and will anybody be around Monday to answer the call? No, we'll be here Tuesday. Tuesday is when we plan on to start gathering the information and looking at the data and seeing what might run and what might not run. And then we also start tracking kids down who didn't fill out the form. If you don't fill it out by Monday, you're not going to miss. You might miss out on prioritizing. However, we are going to call your child down and ask them what their choices are. So it's really important that you have those conversations with them before Monday. What was your other question? The wheel. Wheel courses are, so in 6th grade, they take, it's part of their electives, they take Tech 6, Art 6, and Home and Careers, which is Facts 6. 7th grade, they take some of those. They don't take all of them. And in 8th grade, it's just an extension of the 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, 6th grade and 7th grade courses. So Wheel is Tech 8, which is called Engineering and Design. Elements of Art, which is Art 8. And then Home and Careers, Facts, Family and Consumer Science 8, which is called, we can name that one So Delicious. Yes? Yeah. So the question was, if your child does want to give up the music, does that open up another elective in the schedule? Yes. Yes. It really depends. It depends on, what they choose, and what they're. So your child might choose, the top 4 might be all semester-based classes, which limits the flexibility a little bit, because if they have to have something opposite PE, that's when we would go to the wheel classes to fill that, because they didn't choose any alternating year electives, or if they decided against music. In the back. So the question was, is there a description like the other electives for the wheel classes? Yes. Then there's no videos for them, but there are written paragraphs. There's a paragraph for each one just describing what the course is all about. In that one pager that actually it's like a 3-pager that I showed you, and also in the 2024-25 curriculum guide, which is also, you'll get that link sent to you in about 15 minutes. Yes. Okay, so the question was, with all of these courses and the selections that have to be made, is a child going to get locked in to a certain course? Right. I don't think you'll be shocked, but there might be some courses like your child's top priority might not run, and that happens a lot, but those conversations will happen with the counselors. So your child will probably know by the time they leave in June, they may have chosen, let's say, Ultimate Chef, and maybe Ultimate Chef isn't running because there's not enough interest in it, which is probably not going to happen because that's usually a popular one. But they'll know that class isn't running because the counselor will call them down and say, hey, your top choice isn't running. We're going to go to your second choice or your third or your fourth choice. Or if they can't fit any of the 4 choices in, they'll call them down and say, what would be your next option? What would you want to take? But those are all conversations they'll have. Did I get all that? Okay. Yes? Another music question. So the question was, if the student's taking 2 music classes in middle school, will they be able to take 2 music classes in 9th grade?
So the 9th grade schedule is pretty locked in. There's specific things that they have to take, and one of the things is a period of art or music. There is usually one additional open period for electives, so that would be up to your child. If they wanted to do both, they have most likely will have the room on their schedule, but there usually is one open period after that locked-in art or music that's required for graduation that they will be able to choose the elective of their choice. And they're all full year in 9th grade?
Okay, so for the at-home audience, the short answer to that question, yes, you could take more than one music in high school. And then the follow-up question by Mr. Juergens was, if they drop a chorus, would they be able to pick that back up in high school? And the answer to that is also yes. Okay. Yes. I'm going to turn this one over to Ms. Q. The question was, when they're choosing electives, who determines who's in and who's out of each elective?
Okay, so it's not necessarily determining who's in, who's out, right? In most cases, we try to, even with the most popular ones, allow most people to take their first choice. One of the things you will see, and this is a great question, on the Google form is making a choice between Ultimate Chef and So Delicious. So what happens is the courses are different, right? One is a wheel course that's offered every other day for 2 quarters. One is every day for 2 quarters. Okay, Ultimate Chef is an elective where the Facts 8 class, So Delicious is the wheel. We try not to give students both of those, and that's where the choice would come in, because those are classes that get there's a lot of students that want to take those classes, and there's a lot going on, so we try not to have as many students in that class. So you'll see that it says if your top 2 choices, one of your top 2 is Ultimate Chef, then you can't put So Delicious as your first or second choice for your wheel course. So that also then kind of helps with what your question was of where you determine who gets what. That would be one class where you'll have to kind of make a choice, and that would be something that would be discussed with your child. Outside of that, it's usually if something doesn't run that your child doesn't get their choice, but we really try not to say you can't take that class. That's something where we try to have a conversation and make sure that everybody gets something that they want. Yeah, no, it's okay.
So the question was, if your child's in honors, does that block a potential elective class? No, because the honors math is a 40-minute class, as well as the 8th grade math 8R. And then for science, both science courses, our Living Environment Regents level course and our Earth Science Regents level course, are both 60-minute classes. So it's not like they're spending more time on it because it's an honors course. There was something else I wanted to jump in on to follow up. Yeah, so it's rare that, and I think Ms. Q mentioned this, it's rare that your child will get blocked out of a course, and this is why we do this so early. And it's January, and we're already talking about next year, but we need time to be able to sort through all of this, and it's a monumental task to try to put this all together and find a schedule for every child that works, and then find staffing for it. So this is really more for us understanding what our staffing needs are going to be, because as early as mid-February, we start meeting with Mr. McNamara and talking about our staffing needs for each department, and that's driven by the electives that our students are choosing. So if we have a high number of students in a certain elective, it's likely that we'll just advocate for more staffing for that course, rather than telling a child that, sorry, too bad, so sad, you can't take the course. But it's a balancing project, though. Yes. Mm-hmm. So the question was, if you have enough for 2 of the same elective, would you run it? Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes we've had at times for the sustainable agriculture, some years we have 4 sections of it, some years we have 2 sections of it. I think this year we only had 1. It changes year to year. I think we had a high number of, certain departments and certain electives have multiple sections, and that's all based on the information that we get from you over the next couple of days. There was another question, sorry. The question was, is the school nurse on staff for the early bird phys ed? Our school nurse usually comes in by 8, so there is about a 15-minute block of time or a 20-minute block of time where the school nurse is not here yet. However, we are here, and
We also always have access to the high school nurse, which is
that's right. That's right.
straight shot across the colony. So
That's right. I forgot about the high school nurse. The high school nurse is here, and I can't think of many instances this year where I had to play nurse for the early bird in the morning. Maybe once or twice, but we do have access to the school nurse. I do think I remember one time where the high school nurse just came over for a second. Thank you, Miss Q. I'll go in the back over there. So the question was, if a child decides to take two musics, a chorus in the morning and then an orchestra during the school day, does it block an elective? I hate to say block, but it takes up an every other day spot during the school day. Yes. So.
as an elective, it's not that it takes up a spot. That is, music, as stated before, music is an elective because it's not mandated anymore in 8th grade. That is a choice. That is the elective that they're choosing.
Yeah, there's only, and this is why we opened up the early bird, because there's only so many periods in the day, that we have to work with. We have 9 periods that we can work with, and they have so many requirements that they have to take. So we're trying to give as many options as possible. So when we went to Mr. McNamara and the board a few years back, advocating for allowing us to do the early bird course, they were all for it because it just opens up more opportunities for children. Yes, in the corner. So the question was, as far as what is being taught in health, my health director is not here tonight. So I know I don't want to talk out of line right now. So I think what I'm going to ask you to do is contact us tomorrow or early next week, and I'll have my athletic director, who's also our director of health, here, and she can review with you the topics that are being taught during the health. It hasn't really changed. It used to be a full year course that I think 8th graders took, or possibly 7th graders. The only change they made is they broke it up into 2 years. So it's an extension of what's being taught in 7th grade. It just moves into 8th grade, whereas in the past, it was all taught in one year. 7th graders are taking health, yes.
It's the same thing. Right now, 7th graders are taking every other day health. It's also mandated in 7th grade. It's every other day for a semester, so for 2 quarters. And then that's the same thing that it is in 8th grade. So health isn't newly mandated. It's been mandated for 7th and 8th grade. Yep, they don't take it in 6th grade. They take it in 7th and 8th.
And then I think there's a high school requirement as well, but I'm not 100% certain. I think sometime between 9th and 12th, they have to take another full year of health. Any other questions? Yes? So the question was, if they're in Math 7H now, do they automatically get rolled over into algebra? The answer is yes. There are some instances where a student might be struggling in Math 7H, and the teacher might recommend that they go into Math 8 instead of Math algebra. But that will be conversations that we have. We wouldn't just do that. That would be a conversation that we would have, the counselor would have with you, and you can make that decision. But if it's recommended, we might call you and say, listen, your child's really struggling, and we think they might benefit from, just going to Math 8 and then push off algebra till 9th grade. They'll still take algebra just a year later, but those are conversations. And like Mr. Kozak mentioned, opposite is also true. If a student's in Math 7 right now, there is an opportunity for them to go into algebra, but it's a tough road for them because they would have to get some kind of instruction on their own, some kind of home tutoring, in order to catch up on the topics that were missed during the 7H school year. Did I answer that correctly, Mr. Kozak? Okay, thank you. Yes? So the question was, is sustainable agriculture still the same curriculum as modern food? Yes, it's still the same. They do the same topics. They raise the tilapia. They grow the eggplants and hydroponics and aquaponics and all that stuff. It's the same lab that Mr. Muley built, but it's better. his wife is running it, and so he's still kind of overseeing it. He still comes in and he's still building things. You'll find Mr. Millet around the building. He actually just came in to sub recently for one of our living environment classes, so it was great to have him back. But he still has his hands in his lab, but his wife has taken over, and actually he's done some really nice things with it. There's an Instagram page now for that lab. It's called the Sal Lab. Mr. Millet's first name was Sal, so she called it the Sal Sustainable Agricultural Lab. So there's an Instagram page if you want to check it out and see some of the great things that they're doing in there. Any other questions? All right, well, just so you know, if you have any questions that you think of, we're always here. Our door's always open. Just shoot us an email, give us a call, reach out to your child's guidance counselor. We're very excited about our 8th grade curriculum, as you can see. We hope you are too. And look for that email, which should be hitting your inboxes in about 5 minutes with all the links that you need. Thank you, everybody. Have a wonderful evening.